Show. This is another spontaneous podcast. How are we doing today, Brady?
Good, thank you.
All right. So last time we began a mini-series on the Constitution. We covered the first three articles, which is the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. And what will we be covering today?
We will be covering Articles 4 through 7. So Articles 4, 5, 6, and 7.
For those of you who cannot count.
Yes. Thank you, Ben. So,
No problem.
Getting right into it, Article 4, Section 1 states, full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress may by general laws prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved, and the effect thereof.
Yeah, so if you are Louisiana and you just hate Washington and everything about it, you can't do anything about it because you have to respect their laws and their judicial proceedings and their public acts and records, because that is what full faith and credit means.
So yeah, moving on to Section 2 of Article 4.
Privileges and immunities.
Yeah, so it basically says every citizen of every state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states.
Pretty
so basically
self-explanatory.
Yeah, so everybody has the same privileges and immunities. That's a citizen, every citizen.
In the state that they live in.
Yeah. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime who shall flee from justice and be found in another state shall on demand be of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up and to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime.
Yes, this is a concept called extradition, where it just states exactly what you do. If you, commit treason in Wisconsin, but then flee to Illinois, and they catch you in Illinois, they're going to ship you in a crate back to Wisconsin. And that is the concept of extradition.
Not necessarily in a crate.
Well, I don't know.
It's a metaphor.
It doesn't specifically say how they'll be delivered.
Yes. Okay. Nope. And then, there's some brackets that
means it was amended, so we won't go into it.
We will talk about the amendments in the next episode.
So stay tuned.
Okay, so Section 3 of Article 4 states that new states may be admitted by the Congress into this union. So basically, if there was a new state to kind of come into the U.S., it would have to be admitted by Congress. So the last state to have done this was Hawaii in the 50s, I think.
I think it was 59.
1959. And other territories like Puerto Rico or Guam or the Virgin Islands could have the potential to become a state, although unlikely in the near future.
Yes. And this kind of segues perfectly into the next clause of Section 3, which says, the Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory of other property belonging to the United States. So they basically can control their territory, like the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and Guam.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to Section 4, it states, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislative or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence. So basically, if a single state is invaded by another power
or state,
the union, the central government, the federal government is obligated to protect them. Yes. Okay, so moving on to Article 5, which has to do with the amendments.
The amendment process.
Which we will get to in the next episode, and we will probably reread this next episode also.
Yeah, just to give you a quick refresher.
Yes.
Yeah, so just in case you don't know, just think of the word amend as a fancy word for change. So when it talks about the amendment process, it's talking about changing the Constitution. So
Yes.
that's what Article 5 is about.
It states the Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate, shall deem it necessary, that's a lot of shalls, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or on the application of the legislators of 2/3 of the several states, so 2/3 of the states vote on it, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which is in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislators of 3/4 of the several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as one or another mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 1808 shall in any matter affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state with its consent shall
Without its consent.
without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate.
Okay,
that is a huge.
That is huge.
Okay, so basically, Article 5 is one sentence with a
Is it actually one sentence?
heck of a lot of commas and semicolons.
Oh my god, it's actually one sentence. Yes, so
I'm like, when is it gonna stop?
there is two parts to this. The first one is about the actual amendment process.
So like proposing an amendment.
Yeah, because there's two steps to putting an amendment in the Constitution. The first one is proposal, and the second one is ratification.
Ratification is basically like approving the proposal for an
Official
amendment.
consent.
Yes. So 2/3 of the legislature of the federal government, or 2/3 of the states.
And
So
a
you need-
state convention, yeah.
Yeah, a state convention can propose an amendment, and then to get it approved, 2/3 of the state.
Yeah, 2/3 of the several states need to ratify it, or 2/3 of the convention need to ratify it.
Yes. So yeah, amendments are basically changes in the Constitution, and we will get to that in the next episode.
Yes, so stay tuned.
Okay.
All right, now Article 6. This one is about basically the only real big thing you need to know from this article is that is about the supremacy clause, which we will get to. So, the first clause in Article 6 is
Says all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. So basically it has to do with money and debts.
not that important. Unless you owe debts or are being owed debts.
Yeah.
Then it's important because
Yeah.
you want to get your money or pay your money.
Yeah, because then you get in a lot of trouble.
All right, this is the important thing.
Okay, so it states, this Constitution and the laws of the United States shall be made in the pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land.
Sorry, I had to add emphasis on it.
And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to this contrary notwithstanding. So basically it means that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Thank you, Ben. And any judge of a court has to kind of follow the Constitution, and yeah, that's basically the rule book.
Yeah, and so no one is above the law, and the Constitution is higher than any other law. So that's how important it is. All right, and then the final clause of Article 6
says, the senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So that's called, I think it's called the elastic clause.
No, that's the necessary and proper clause.
Oh, that's okay. That's the necessary and proper clause. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, it's just saying you never will be forced to do a religious test to do any office or to fulfill any office under the United States, but you have to say an oath. Like the president's oath is, I don't even remember, but it's like my name. Like you say your name. And then you say your name. I promise, to fulfill the Constitution and do the best of my ability to defend it.
Yeah, so basically states that there is no single religion of this country.
And it's like separation of church and state.
Okay, so moving on to Article 7, the
final
article of the Constitution. The first clause states, the ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states so ratifying the same.
And that is the entire thing. But all this is saying is that for the Constitution to be ratified, only 9 out of the 13 states that existed at the time needed to approve it. But in reality, when they were ratifying it, all 13 did. And fun fact, every single state that has come to the Union afterwards had to approve the Constitution in order to become a state.
Yes. And the next clause states...
Oh, no, that's the signatures. That just says the signatures.
Oh yeah, so a lot of signatures. George Washington's the president, all the 13 states. Okay, so that is the last 4 articles of the Constitution. And in the next episode, we will be talking about the amendments, which
all
is
27.
Which is an extremely relevant part of the Constitution today.
Yeah. So if you think anything might be missing from this Constitution, just wait till the next episode because there's some extra juicy stuff going to be happening in that episode.
Yeah.
We thank you for listening to this podcast. And we will see you next time. Thank you from myself, Brady, and our non-existent sponsors.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Beonby Show. Catch you next time. And a special thank you to Kevin MacLeod for letting us use his music. You're awesome.